What's up, Airsofters? I just finished an interview with Kicking Mustang, and boy, you will not believe what we talked about. Everything from cameras to a successful YouTube channel, and all the things in between. Kicking Mustang is a great guy. Never met him before, only seen him on YouTube. Been watching him for several years now, and I learned a whole lot, not only as a professional YouTuber, but just as a person in general. This is what he had to say. The first thing on the list is cameras. What kind of cameras do you use as far as like your studio camera versus all the cameras you use to do airsoft with and that kind of stuff?
Okay, so when I go out and recording, I'll normally have 3 or 4 cameras on. I use one of these. I use these things. I love these. These are the GoPro Hero Sessions. I think it's the Hero 5 Sessions I use.
Yeah, those are great.
I used to. They stopped making them. The reason I use them is because I trust them. Right. When I go out in the field and I'm playing, I want to be focused on the game. With this thing, I can just press the button. It records. Now, I know it's not the best quality camera. I know there's better cameras out there.
Right.
But I trust it. I've used it in freezing conditions, in hot conditions. I plug the external battery pack into it. So I'll wear one on my head with, I'll grab my setup. I've got it over here, actually. Hang on. I'll actually get my guns and you can actually see what I have set up. So this is my head camera setup. And I've got my Hero Session on the front of it, which is all sort of camoed up. Another reason why I like using this is because it's relatively small. So when
so you don't have that giant GoPro right here.
Exactly. So it's quite small. It's quite light. It's easy to conceal. And then I have a battery pack on the back of it, and then I wear this on my head, and the battery pack's on there with a wire.
How big is your battery pack?
It is. It is 10. I've got one that's got a spare one here. I don't know, to be honest. I've had it on there. It's all camoed up. I've had it on there for so long.
Yeah, I understand that.
It lasts 5 or 6 hours of running. So the important thing for me is that I put a 128 gig card in there. That allows me to record this at 1440, and that gives me 4 or 5 hours recording time, which is plenty. I can turn it on. I use 1440 because when this is on my head, rather than 1080, it gives a slightly higher, like it's more square. So if I need to adjust it up or down, sometimes if I'm lying down, the camera's dipped down a bit and I can perhaps move it up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Or if if I'm sitting back like this, I can just bring it down a little bit. So it just allows me to adjust the image a little bit.
That's the reason I record in 4K, is so that just for that exact reason.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of guys have been recording in 4K. A lot of the gameplay makers have been using 4K, and they're using that new GoPro 9. But for me, the most important thing, I trust my cameras.
Right. Yeah, you can't be having.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't be having anything going wrong. So I trust them, and that's the most important thing for me. Especially when I'm traveling. So if I travel a long way, I'll go to a different country to go to record something. The last thing you want is your cameras going down mid-game, and I would rather I don't care whether the quality is that good as long as I've got it recorded, and it gives me an ability to tell the story. So then this is my rifle I usually use. It's my VSR rifle, and I'll have another GoPro Hero 5 Session on the front here pointing towards me. So that camera will be looking towards me, which allows me to then I guess the most important thing about what this selfie cam gives me, it gives me an ability to slice my film smoothly. So I can almost move from one part of the map or field to another smoothly. So the viewer will see my head cam. I'll then edit it to the selfie cam. I'll then edit it back to my head cam or the scope cam. And it allows me to cut out dead time more easily. If you only got the one camera on your head and you've got a 90-second section, but there's only 5 seconds of action, you can have your head cam, you can just chop it off and then jump to the action. But it just does, it's not easy on the eye. With the selfie cam, that allows me to take out dead time more easily.
So that's basically you're just changing perspective to keep it interesting while eliminating some dead space and making your videos just a little bit longer without cutting all of your footage out. You get like 6 hours of footage and you've only got 2 minutes of actual watchable stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, I probably, if I go to a game day and I probably come home with anywhere between 4 and 5 hours of footage, that will normally it'll probably turn into a 10 or 12 minute gameplay out of 5 or 6 hours of footage. So there's a lot of removing of dead footage, and having those multiple cameras allows me to do that. On my scope, I have a zoom camera on the front of it. For a while, I've been using a custom camera, and it's called, what's the name of that? I actually can't remember the name of the company. Let's pull it off. This camera, the reason we started using it, myself and a friend of mine, is because the scope cam we had been using just kept on failing, kept overheating, and we tried this and we put on a custom lens on it, and it's called a Get Up, and we've got a custom lens on it. It's called a Get Up, and it's like for some reason it works really well. You have to get a custom lens on it. You can't buy it like this. You have to buy the lens separately. And the lens, I think I paid about 90 or 100 pounds or dollars, and it's a 35mm lens on the front of it, and it was difficult to get it to fit. I think we had to cut the screw back a little bit on the lens to get it to fit. And it's got, the reason we think it works really well, it's got a Sony chipboard in it.
Oh, okay.
It's the same chipboard that used to be on the Foxeer Legend 3, which they stopped making.
Actually, let me show you something. You may be interested in this. Hold on, let me pull it up. The Foxeer just released, and I'm pretty sure I have seen Novrich. They posted a new video the other day, and I think they're testing this camera out.
The 4K.
Yeah, it's a 4K camera with a Sony board.
I've got that here. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I put it on. They sent me one to test out, and I used it on the new Novrich SSX. Let me just screw this back on. And the image is great. It's really good.
So you're talking about
let me just screw
this one right here.
That's it. Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah. I was really looking into it. I almost bought that, but then RunCam.
The RunCam ScopeCam 2.
Yes, they also just came out with theirs, but they only have the 40mm. They only have the 40mm version, and I want to get it in the 35.
Yeah, there's not much difference between the 35 and 40. I've got that as well. I've got both of those cameras. Yeah. Now, the reason, the main reason I've not used those yet is because we're in lockdown here, so I've not had a chance to test those two out. The main reason I've been using that Get Up camera is a trust issue. There's no with the one of the recent RunCam, they did a RunCam ScopeCam Lite. When the files change every 20 minutes, then the files they stop recording, they start a new file. There was always 1 or 2 second gap in between the files. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but
see, I've got the 4K version. I didn't notice that.
Right. I think you might find there's a gap.
I might have to go back and look. I haven't noticed that. I'm really gonna have to.
Yeah, and also the other thing was on those RunCams and the Foxeers, the power port breaks on them really easily. Yeah. So you put the power cable in, and any little pressure and it snaps off, and that's killed that camera on a number of occasions, both the Foxeers and the RunCams. Now both of those two new cameras, the RunCam ScopeCam 2 one you just shown, and the Foxeer, both got USB-C power cables. Yeah, and they're mounted in that metal housing. So maybe I'm hoping it's going to be a lot tougher. But what I'm really curious is the image stabilization on the Foxeer that they claim that they've got. Yes, I mean that looks great. The image I've recorded one gameplay with it a couple of days ago out in the backyard. Me and Cam Man were running around shooting each other with the new Novridge SSX 303. I've not checked it. I've not imported it yet, but it's really promising. But what I'm really excited about with this new Run Cam 2, Scope Cam 2, is they're boasting it's got a 4-hour battery life.
Yeah, I seen that. I was like, no, no.
That's
what the
cool.
heck?
Oh, no. It's quite a boast, isn't it? And that's a bit of a game changer.
It really is, because usually I don't even run batteries in my cameras. I pull the batteries out and then run nothing but an external power pack, because if you leave the battery in there, your camera's going to overheat.
Yeah, it can do. Yeah. Having a 4-hour internal battery means you could do something like mount it on a pistol. You could put it underneath, like here, and mount it, and that would be great. Then you can have your head cam, your selfie cam, your rifle scope cam, your pistol. With these pistols, the MK23s, these things can shoot 60, 70 meters quite easily. So you put the 4-hour battery life on there, and then maybe have a shoulder-mounted one. That's the other camera I use, is the Insta360, which I've got here. Have you seen those?
I have seen those. I couldn't decide between that and the GoPro Max. I personally just prefer GoPro. I guess I'm part of the bandwagon, but they, like you said, with a trust thing. I have a trust.
Yeah, I think the GoPro probably. My friend Gary, whose online name is Airsoft Cam Man, he prefers the GoPro to these, but I just trust it. I've had this for a long time now. I tend to mount it on a stick on my shoulder, which allows me I've got it on an extending stick. So if I'm lying down like this, I can reach, twist it, pull the monopod, put it in position here. And then this gives me this kind of really cool angle. So when I'm lying down, it allows me to like zoom in on my face and give like really cool perspectives. I don't often use it as some of the guys have used this. They use it to pan around and look in different directions.
Right.
I tend to not do that so much. I think it's a bit disorientating. I tend to use it as like almost like a selfie cam, like really zoomed in on me, or to just give a different perspective when I'm lying down. In hide, just to give those extra camera angles that sort of sucks the viewer in. I don't use it that often. I don't use it if I'm in an urban area, because the lens breaks easily, and it also kind of sticks out. So if I'm running around a lot, it sticks out. So I will tend to use it if I'm in a woodland, or if I know I'm going to play a really sneaky game, I'll use this because it gives that extra camera angle. So when you're playing this, when I play this really slow, careful, sneaky ghillie style, the more camera angles you have, the better to give the viewer more interesting angles. Yeah, exactly. So I think in terms of cameras, that's probably it, I think.
Yeah, when you're setting up like your cameras and stuff, like on your person and your rifle and your kit and whatnot, how much thought process goes into like how you're recording, as far as like, I know whenever you just said with the Insta360, you pull it out to get that extra camera angle. What other things do you do in the moment that you're like, okay, this is going to give me a really good angle? And I know part of that's probably practice, and it's like second nature now, but
that's a really interesting question, because a lot depends where I'm playing and who I'm playing against. So if I go to a normal skirmish day where the players are perhaps average or less than average skill level, I will then probably do things to make a film. So if I know, for example, this is if there's something that's there to be, say, climbed or crawled through, because I think it will look good on camera, I would often do things that will look good on camera, that are exciting. Like rather than go upstairs, if I'm playing in an urban area, rather than just walk up the stairs, if there's a window, I might bunk up the window and climb through it. Not because this is perhaps a magician's secret, but something like that looks cool, you know. Right. Good on camera. So there is a part of me that does that. So I do alter my behavior. But if I'm playing against good players, like if I go to a serious milsim, let's say like when I went to Texas and I was playing with and against some very highly skilled players, I wouldn't try any stunts like that. You know, you have to, you know, if you're playing against good players, if you're doing dumb things, you're going to get dumb things. You're going to win dumb prizes, you know?
Yeah, for real.
But if you're playing against dumb players, you can risk doing dumb things. Like taking a grappling hook and chucking a grappling hook up and climbing up a rope. There's no practical reason to do that in a game, but it looks cool as fuck on camera.
Right,
so there is
right.
a part
Or
of me
taking the 6-shooter, like in your last video with the no headshots video.
100% right. They're like meme guns. Like, so I wouldn't normally take that gun if I'm playing against seriously good players, but it's a meme gun. You know, it's fun. People go, holy shit, there's a 6-shooter, or he's got this crazy grenade launcher, or like shotguns, like the lever action shotguns with shells that eject. There's no practicality about it at all, but it's just fun. And
right.
Do you play Airsoft?
Oh yes, regularly. Every at least once a month. Or we haven't been locked down since probably mid-August.
Yeah, nice. So you as an airsofter, you know that there is a part of every airsofter gets there's something inside them that there's like a spark of excitement when they get a new gun, or there's something just that's cool, or like, just even though it's not practical, it's just like gas blowback guns, which are not as good as electric guns. Really, they're not.
No, they're not. They don't cool even compare.
Now, I love to get that sense of excitement over in my videos. Like, what? It's a Wild West 6-shooter, and you can load the BBs individually, one at a time, and you put the camera zoomed in, it clicks, and you can hear the clicking of the hammer when it comes back. Yeah, you know, that's cool. These are really cool toys. To be able to put that across in a video, I think that's really. I love doing that. I love it.
Oh yeah, I really do too. I'm actually in the middle of building a DSG Scorpion Evo, and I put it together for the first time, and it shot 83.3 rounds a second.
Wow,
which is way too fast.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're talking about just getting the amazement and the spark of joy with having just something really cool. So I definitely understand that. I never did think about really pushing that to the viewer. I didn't think that was a thing until you mentioned it, and I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Now that you've pointed it out, I'm like, oh wait, he does that with a lot of his stuff. You and a bunch of the other successful YouTubers.
I originally, to be honest, something like if you look, when I first started recording, 2016 was when I first turned on a camera. I pinched my brother's GoPro. He won a GoPro in a competition, like a GoPro Hero 3 Plus or something, and I said, "Oh, let me grab that. I'll start recording some of my gameplay." Because when I was 4 or 5 years ago, I was a much better player than I am now. Honestly, my filmmaking has reduced my ability as a player because I've always got one mind on making films, and I'm doing things for films. Like,
right.
4 or 5 years ago, I was a much better player, and I thought I need to record some of these amazing things I do. And then I just did it because I wanted to record these cool things I was doing, and then I started seeing some of the other guys, and the guy who was the probably the biggest inspiration to my style of change of editing was seeing Silo Entertainment blow up, and his videos, they always had a focus on a gun of some kind, and they were the videos that were always exploding. So that was probably my biggest influence. The video has to have some kind of the viewer has to be focused on something that's not just gameplay.
Right.
It's not easy to make. It's not easy to be a really good airsofter. It's even harder to capture being a really good airsofter and doing cool things. But then it's another level to be a good airsofter, capture good gameplay, and grab the viewer's attention.
Right.
How do you guarantee you're going to grab the viewer's attention? Like, I can guarantee I'm going to go to an airsoft event and I'm probably going to do pretty well. I'm probably going to capture myself doing pretty well because I'm a half decent player.
Right.
But how are you going to title the video? How are you going to grab the attention? Are you just going to leave that to chance? If I travel to France or Belgium and I'm going to invest all this time and energy to go to these cool fields, is just going to play and be good and capture good footage. Is that enough to leave it to chance to grab the viewer's attention? And this is where the discussion gets really deep, because I actually believe 51% of what makes my videos work is not me playing well. It's not me capturing the video well. It's not even me editing it well and making it an exciting gameplay. Half of it is somehow grabbing people's attention that they have to click on it. They have to watch it. They need to watch that 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes of the gameplay.
Right.
Then YouTube will then think, holy shit, this is something good. Let's promote this video to other people.
Okay. That's really an interesting point. How do you decide what you're going to do? Are you just going to, before you even go to the game, you're going to just decide, hey, I'm going to film this about this. I'm going to film this event for this reason, or is it just you go there, you kind of get the vibe, and then you decide on how you're going to play? Like,
what I like to do is that I like to know what the title and the thumbnail is going to be before I play the game. So obviously you couldn't do, if something exciting happens in the game, I can use that if it's more exciting than my original idea. But if I go to, let's say I travel to Belgium with Nico, who's a good friend of mine who I've teamed up with in some videos, and we are going to go and play together. We've used I've teamed up with former British Army rifleman kind of title before, so we need some other ideas. So I bought a grappling hook and rope online.
Okay.
So let's go and let's just fucking chuck this grappling hook up, climb up it, and that'll be our clickbait. Even before we played the game, my thought was, I'm going to have this thumbnail, and the idea was, is it fair to bring a grappling hook and rope to an airsoft game? It was just a crazy idea. It might work. So we had that idea. I recorded the video. It was one of the most easiest videos to edit. It was 20 minutes, first 20 minutes of the weekend, edited down to 10 minutes. And we just absolutely smashed everybody. It was amazing footage of good piece of gameplay. And I titled it using this thumbnail with the grappling hook and the rope, and it just didn't go. And I was like, fuck, this video is just mega. It's a mega video. I knew how good it was, but it just wasn't going. Right. And I waited 2 or 3 weeks. I waited. I just thought, it's not working. And I just then changed the title to 2 versus 50 with just really simple. Oh, fuck, it's not working. It was almost like a fuck it moment. Sod it. Just do it. Changing the title. And all of a sudden, the click-through rate on YouTube went from like 7-8%. I mean, I thought the grappling hook and rope was a fun idea. I was like, sorry, it didn't work. But then you changed it. 3 weeks later, this video went from just being okay to all of a sudden the click-through rate jumped up from 6-7% to like 12%. And the video just went viral. And in 6 months, it went to 5 million views. And that is an illustration of how important the thumbnail and title is.
Okay. Speaking of thumbnail and title, what about your tags? How much effort do you put into tags? Some YouTubers say put work into tags. Some of them say don't put work into tags. Like, as an airsofter, because we have a very unique niche. Like, as an airsofter, how does it apply in our niche with tags and whatnot?
I used to do it a lot. I mean, I pay for, what's the company? Is it vidIQ? I think it's called.
Oh yeah.
vidIQ. I kind of pay for that, and they kind of suggest tags. It doesn't make much difference, I don't think. Like 3% of my views are from YouTube search. So, like, let's say you do better tags and you double your YouTube search results. So it goes from 3 to 6% of views.
Right.
Yeah, that's the answer to your question. The other thing is, I also think tags and YouTube metadata. There's two parts of this. I also think tags are nowhere near as important as they were a few years ago. I think YouTube scans everything you say. I recently had a video demonetized, and I couldn't it was my last video I put up, which is
I think it was the no headshot one, actually.
I think that's
Maybe.
the one, yeah. Let me have a look. Oh, they want to ban headshots? Was that the one? No. Airsoft players flip out about headshots.
Yeah,
That's
that one.
I couldn't for the life of me figure out what was causing the problem. I looked at the tags. The description was really bland. There was no. It just said there's nothing. It's just Airsoft in the title. It says gameplay. There's nothing there, and I couldn't figure it out. And I emailed YouTube, had a conversation with them. He goes, well, unfortunately, we can't tell you what it is, but the metadata says that there's something there that's not right. I was just scratching my head, and I listened to the intro again, over and over again, and all of a sudden, I realized what it was. And in the original voiceover, I said I strapped myself with explosives. It's not a tag. It's not in the description. I said, and for extra firepower, I've strapped myself with explosives to ensure that I blow any dug-in defenders out of the way or something like that.
Okay,
that was the problem. So the point is, YouTube is listening. The tags are not so important. YouTube will figure out what you're doing. I don't think it's like I'm not sure that putting focus on guns. I don't think you should be saying things like, if you say you're modifying guns, or you've modified this gun, or you've installed this in your gun, YouTube will hear you saying that. That's bad. I think my tip would be to try and make it as gameplay as possible. This is a gameplay. This is a loadout. This is a setup. It's not a gun. It's not an upgrade. That will avoid YouTube giving you issues. And it's not because of monetization. Monetization, like, honestly, I couldn't care. It's not. I do care whether it's monetized or not, because you put a lot of work in. I do care. But if my videos were not monetized, like Facebook, the monetization is pathetic on Facebook, but I still put work into Facebook.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden YouTube just turned off monetization for Airsoft videos, the money, I would still do it because I love doing it. And there's other things that's a whole nother bigger question here. What are you doing with the attention on your videos? The important thing when a video gets demonetized is not the money they take away, it's the reach. So YouTube will not promote unmonetized videos. When I first started making videos, I thought, I'm not actually that bothered about monetization. I'm still not bothered about monetization. But as soon as your channel does get monetized, YouTube will then promote it more, because they're getting ad revenue.
Okay,
so
I didn't know that.
You have to, like, if people who go from unmonetized to monetized, they'll see a huge difference. And this is why it's such a big political issue, because when YouTube demonetizes channels, it's not just taking money away, it's taking reach away, and it stops promoting the videos. That's why it's such a big political football. Right.
So let me ask you this: if you have some videos that get demonetized, does that demonetize your whole channel, or does that just demonetize a couple of videos?
Just a couple of videos, but I'm sure if you put out a whole swathe of videos that were inappropriate for advertisers, they'd eventually demonetize your channel.
Okay.
But that's why, yeah, it's for me, that's why it's important to me to keep it monetized, because of reach rather than the money.
Okay.
And it's interesting. It's a funny thing. It's something it's difficult to talk about as a YouTuber, because that word monetization, when you talk to people about it, it's an interesting subject, isn't it?
It really is, because they think that's the be all end all. At least on all the videos that I've watched, they're like, oh, it's monetization, and then they stop right there. They don't do anything past that. They'll quit talking about anything past that.
Yeah, but it's not really about the money for me. It's about, and that's what I find it's the most interesting thing for me, is just the reach and the way that the platforms control who is seeing your videos. Instagram's another great example. Obviously, there's no monetization on Instagram, but a lot of airsoft or gun related accounts do get kind of shadow banned. They don't get the reach. Airsoft doesn't get featured on the discovery page on Instagram anymore, as an example. But thankfully, I mean, YouTube thankfully supports Airsoft. I think it sees it as a gameplay or as a very legitimate thing. But I think as content creators, Airsoft content creators, we do need to be careful to not overstep the mark and make YouTube think that we're guns.
Right.
I don't think language. I've seen some people say that language like lethal or deadly or those sort of words are bad. I don't see that at all. I don't think that sort of language is used in computer games. So I don't think there's any. Personally, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't put a lethal shot, because lethal can have connotations of it's a good shot or it's a deadly sniper in a game, because it happens in games. I don't see that, and I haven't.
I mean, you use that as some of your titles and the past.
Yeah, it's a clickbait, isn't it? That people see it and they click on it. It doesn't have connotations that we're doing anything that's dangerous. It's just people like, I'm just looking here, like, lethal headshots, destroying airsoft players, those sort of that sort of language. For some reason, it grabs the attention of people. I look at the data. When I see certain titles working, I'll tend to stick with it. Another thing is that when I've got a title that's working, I think, I mean, a lot of this stuff with YouTube, a lot of it is intuition, and I don't think it's something that it's very hard to scientifically prove. So the point I'm trying to make is what one YouTube channel, a catchphrase such as scaring the shit out of might work for that channel. Another channel might have ghillie sniper destroys. Another channel might have lethal headshots. But then one channel goes, I'm going to use lethal headshots because this channel's working. YouTube doesn't necessarily connect the two together, I don't think. The title, it's such a difficult subject. The point, if you get something that works on your channel and you have a title or a subject that works on your channel and it clicks with your viewers, YouTube will then recognize your type of viewers that are into your channel, and that title will work with that kind of viewer, and then it will build an audience based on the kind of people who are watching your videos. So I think there's definitely traction to use the same or similar titles on your videos, and it doesn't matter whether they're very similar. I often see channels trying to change the title for the sake of it, but like recently I've used headshots, lethal, sniper, flip out, airsoft drama as kind of the same titles over and over again, because YouTube kind of connects all those together. But I think if another channel just decided I'm going to try and use those titles to try and grab that audience, I don't think it necessarily works. Yes, it's a deep subject, this title thing, and I don't have any scientific reason. It's just intuition. I've tried to use like channels like if like Novridge's channel, he obviously has the Novridge SSX or Novridge SSG 10. If you just throw Novridge SSG 10 on your title and you just use the Novridge SSG 10 in your gameplay, YouTube won't necessarily link them up together just because you use the same tags and the same titles. It has to see a crossover in audience. The reason why using, say, SSG 10 in your gameplay video, so let's say you go and buy an SSG 10, what might happen is Novridge's team or Novridge might see you using an SSG 10, so they'll share your video on their Instagram or on their story, and then some of Novridge's audience might then go through their Instagram story to your YouTube channel, watch it, and then YouTube will then link it, not necessarily because of the title, but because the audience has been pushed there. And this, if I'm not sure whether you were recording just before we went live or we were recording, you touched on building a community and getting your friends to watch it, or how do you get people to come to your channel? How do you grow your channel? Is just putting out gameplay enough? This goes into, I'm not articulating this particularly well, to be honest, right now, but building a community, building an audience, connecting with other YouTubers. You often see other YouTubers trying to do crossover. The reason YouTubers do crossover is because the audiences cross-pollinate. and they go to each other's channels, and then YouTube connects it all together and it grows the community around a network of channels. I think this is really key to building a YouTube channel.
It's like connecting with other channels that are doing similar content and trying to like back and forth. And next thing you know, you've got a group of YouTubers that are all growing together.
Yeah, no, precisely. That's really important. If you are doing a channel, it would really help if you are doing it with other YouTubers.
Yeah, me and 2 other guys are doing YouTube channels. It's me, BSM Apollo, and Joker Tactical. We're all 3 trying to bounce off of each other, and that was something we had discussed probably a year ago. And getting the content, mostly because of our ignorance, is harder than we thought, and it really shows. It really shows how hard it is for like you guys to be able to put out content every week or every other week or just on a regular basis, and how much work it is to really go into it, because it's not easy. Like this year I've made a point to post at least 3 times a month, and so far I've done 1 every week, and it's not easy. It is not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's tough to put in gameplay out is difficult. We're locked down in the UK, and I think it's important to have a regular schedule. I think it is really important. You can't. I think if you're doing less than 1 video a week on YouTube, I think you're gonna struggle. I've done it. I've pretty much done 1 video a week for almost 4 years now. To get to where I am. Normally when I go and play a game day, normally I'd only get 1 video out of 1 game day. So I'll go and play at the weekend, and then I'll try and get the video out by Wednesday or Thursday. If I'm lucky, I'll get 2 gameplays.
Yeah, that's something I haven't had happen yet. Is even when I go to big milsims, it's very difficult to get 2 full videos out of these events. Like even if it's a regular gameplay or a big 2 or 3 day milsim, because in the milsims you've got so much dead space where you're either waiting on something to happen or it's just a slower pace because it's so big. Like how do you combat that?
And then to have a subject as well. Like it's all very well just having, even if you've got 30 minutes of gameplay, you've then got to have if you go for a whole day, and even if you've got 30 and you condense it down, you've got 30 solid minutes of action. If there's not, I think YouTube does like longer videos. Like if I've got a video that I recorded at a Texas Milsim that's 45 minutes long and it's done really well. But if you can't just go, I'm going to split that into 3 and just put it in. I don't think you can put it out in 3, but it doesn't work like that because it doesn't grab the viewer's attention. You've got to have a beginning, middle, and end. It's got to have a story. Right. Each one's got to have a hook. I don't think it's not so easy just to do Texas Milsim Part 1, Texas Milsim Part 2, Texas Milsim Part 3 with just like 3 generic pictures.
Right.
I just don't think it's going to work. You've got to have something that grabs the attention at the beginning. It hooks them in. There's a story. You've got a narration. And then there's some kind of end or a hook that brings them back to maybe subscribe to the channel. That's not easy. This is why not many channels blow up. People think all they're going to do is put cameras on. They're going to record. They're going to just chuck out some gameplay and it's going to work.
Right.
That's recording the gameplay and getting it out there is not even half of it. It's less than half of it. Everything else that goes into it is more important. I even think this is why we started talking about these little cameras we were using. When new cameras come out and things, I don't get that excited about them because this is not the most important part about making good videos. And it's the same as Airsoft. Like in Airsoft in general, when people get into Airsoft, often the thing they're most excited about is what gun do I have to buy? What's the best equipment to be good at Airsoft? So you want a YouTube channel. What's the best camera? What's the best way of editing? What's the best software? No, that's not. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You can have shitty cameras. You can have very average software. Actually, that software I think is actually probably a little bit more. I think software is more important than the cameras. But the most important thing is the storytelling. Having, your brain in tune with creating the thing that grips the viewer, introduces them to the story, begins them, grips them, tells the story, and then it finishes somehow. And to pack something into 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 minutes, that's the skill of making a YouTube channel work.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Oh, what about like voiceovers? How important is that to the story? Can you do a video without a voiceover and it still have a story, or is that pretty key to the videos being more interesting?
I think it's really key. I think it's possible to do it without a voiceover. I have had videos go viral that haven't had voiceovers, but they've been quite special. They've been quite special videos. There's been something that's just sort of grabbed there's just something evocative about what's been recorded. But the thing about a voiceover, and we're talking about how you can record gameplay and you put it in and you've got to create a story out of it. I've recently started using map overlays. So I'll put a little map up with some arrows because I've just found it works, and I'll talk over the top of it. We're moving from here to here. We're going to set up Overwatch and put a high position, and it kind of sucks a viewer in, and they get this visualization of what's happening. That comes from the voiceover, and that comes from telling that story. The story is for me the most important thing. And there are YouTube channels that I watch on YouTube. They tend to be historical YouTube channels. They very rarely, they're just using, it's almost like a narration from beginning to end, and there's just clips of historical moments happening. But the clips on their own, the action of me shooting someone on their own, the action of me sneaking through a bush, bringing a gun up and shooting someone, in and of itself, it's cool. It's cool to watch. But then you overlay it with a story. You overlay it with a tactical looking map. You overlay it with a meme gun that people think, oh my God, that thing is cool. I want to see what it does to somebody.
Right.
You put all those layers together, having something that's cool, having something that is unique. Being good at airsoft and doing cool shit in airsoft is quite unique. Having a cool gun is unique, but then having a storyline that links it all together and shows that if you go from this position and then the camera cuts to somewhere else, that in itself is not enough. You have to have voiceover to tell the viewer what's happening, bring them into it. It's like it's like a bedtime story. You know, you're telling people what's going on. That's what grips their attention. Even things like subtitles. When you if there's radio chatter, the effort of typing in the subtitle and putting it on the screen, it's an absolute pain in the arse. It's so time consuming.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's not fun. And you think it's not going to make a difference, but it makes a difference.
It's
and
part of the whole immersion. Exactly.
And it's that detail that and color, like even things like color correction. Like I use color coding, which means that these camera things aren't so important. And I use Final Cut Pro to do color correction to make sure everything looks kind of cinematic. So I put vignettes around the outside. Vignette, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. And make sure all the greens are highlighted and the browns are highlighted, and it's those sort of attention to details, and like the hit markers as well. You don't put hit markers on to make yourself, like, the hit markers are really visual experience. When that BB hits, if you don't have that thump when you're watching, you don't feel the hit.
Right.
The BB kind of disappears. The player just goes, "Oh, hit," and it's not dramatic.
Okay.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same as why snipers work as airsoft videos. It's that cocking, the loading, the click, the thump when it hits. It's that really visual experience that sucks the player in. That's why I don't like electric guns, because they just sound like sewing machines.
Yeah, or a DeWalt drill.
Yeah, it's not. That's why, like these things, these non-blowback guns, they don't, in real life, they're not that dramatic. They just got a click and a thump.
Yeah.
But on video, it's like a silenced assassin gun. Thump, 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 thump when you fire it. I don't know, something feels really visceral about them when you're using them. I don't know. That's why I think it works. So there's so many different layers to it. The visceral, the story, the being good and unique, and having a meme to suck people in to start with.
See, that's something I've been kind of an idea I've been throwing around with our group, with our MilSim group, is because we're starting to do more training and stuff and to actually be a cohesive unit. And I'm trying to figure out how to capture us as a unit stacking up on a door, breaching rooms, because we're going to Bone Strike 5 in like 3 weeks. Or maybe 2 weeks. 2.5 to 3 weeks. We're going to Bone Strike 5, and it's an abandoned hospital in Vicksburg, and it's nothing but rooms. So if I could capture us stacking up on a door, breaching, and just slaughtering everybody inside, that would be something. That would be something that would just excite me to be able to have. Man, look at what we just did.
Yeah.
From your perspective, as a full-time YouTuber, or I'm assuming full-time, as a big YouTuber, the look of that on camera, what would you like to see out of a group like that? Or would that even look good on camera?
I travel to places to record gameplay because the places look unique and cool. If you go to an old World War II fortress or a Napoleonic fortress, or you go to an abandoned town in Spain, or go to an old Victorian house in Belgium, it's because it looks really cool on camera. There's a reason I travel up to the north of England, a 3-4 hour drive, to go to an abandoned quarry because it looks amazing on camera. If you've got something that looks good on camera, then you can focus on it. But I know Airsoft Alphons has done some thumbnails which are like Airsoft at an abandoned hospital kind of thumbnails. I don't know how well they've done because of that thumbnail. I'm not entirely sure. It's a difficult question. How you've got to have something that's going to grab people's attention to start with. I like the fact you're thinking about how you're going to go and smashing people up at an abandoned hospital, but what title do you have before you go there? It's a tough question. I don't know. Can you use? I mean, CQB in buildings is difficult to capture. Can you? I've used some third-person cameras a little bit. I know Jadrick from Poland uses third-person cameras. They kind of work like a deployable. So let's say you have your little GoPro on a tripod in a pouch. You can pull it out, put it in the corner of a room while you're defending it or before you're going in. Maybe you could do that. That might give you an extra angle. But again, in and of itself, just having cool camera angles won't make the video. You've got to have the story. You've got to have the thing that's going to grip people to start with. I mean, the fact that you're a team, maybe that's the thing you need to focus on. What's your audience? Again, this is the thing. Maybe it's a tough question, mate. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I mean, for me, when I went to the American MilSim, each one of those, I had like 4 videos, gameplay videos, and then one main big video. Each of the individual videos had some kind of clickbait thing to it. So one of them was when the admin pulled me out for having the wrong color ghillie suit when it wasn't the wrong color ghillie suit. People love that airsoft drama thing, they love that. Yeah. And as much as people say, I don't know, that's a whole nother debate in itself. But it worked, that clickbait work, get off the field. People love that. Oh my God, he's been kicked off the field. People love that shit. I don't go looking for it, but it happened on the day. If something happens on the day, I will use it. Right. I won't shy. If there's some kind of drama, I'll use it. And I know some people criticize me for that. Oh yeah, you have a lot of haters out there. Oh yeah. That's something I'm not looking forward to as I grow in my YouTube career, is all the haters. Yeah, I mean it's a fine line to walk, but different fields and different communities have different attitude to it. There there was a gameplay I put out a couple of months ago that had toxic airsoft cheater caught on camera, and it was a player was dead man walking. So he wasn't really dead. He was pretending to be dead, and he's walking along and he's pulled his gun out. Now, that guy was actually a member of the staff on the day. Now, this shows the attitude of a good field who understand what's going on. And when it happened on the day, the owner, oh my God, did he really do that to you? Oh, that's terrible. The owner was like, oh, this is not good. We'll have a word with him. And then the guy who did it came up and said, oh, sorry, guys. I know I was a bit of a dick. We didn't mean to. And he said, look, I tell you what, why don't you clickbait me? And so it was like click. And so it was all kind of like everyone was open about it. And look, do the best you can at it, because look, I was a dick. Go on then. I deserve to be clickbaited. And they understood that it was just something that happened on the day, even though it was their field.
Yeah.
Drama isn't necessarily this idea that because something is dramatic, airsoft drama, or because something is not necessarily is a talking point. Like, should a player pretend to be dead? Why shouldn't a player walk along with their hands down, walking along, and then pull their gun out? Why shouldn't they do that? Well, we think it's unsporting, and it's a pretty low move. It's a point of debate. Why shouldn't you make a video out of it? Why shouldn't you use that as the meme to grab people's attention? Because it's quite evocative, isn't it? We're talking about it now. Is that right to do that or not? Personally, I think it's a pretty bad move. Personally,
yeah, I don't particularly. I feel like that helps go against the honor of the game, because airsoft is a sport of honor. At the end of the day, it's a sport of honor. Doesn't matter. There's no paint markers. There's no, you catch it on camera, but you can't see that till that night. So in the middle of it, it's just like, hey, dude, I got you. Or wait, what was that? You know? Yeah,
for sure. So it's a point of debate, and it got people watching the video, and but that's for me. They're an amazing field. They're like old school. They just get it. They appreciate YouTubers coming down and just making video, because they know, like, that sort of thing. If it happens on the field, I'm happy to use it, because I personally don't see how something like that gives bad reputation to airsoft or bad reputation to a field. It's just something that happened on the day, and I don't shy away from it.
Right.
Some elements of the community perhaps think it's not that desirable to do that. If that's the right word. It's not desirable to do that, because they think they're virtuous, and as a YouTuber, you're an ambassador of the community, and you should show it in a better light. Well, it's just fucking shit that happened on the day, you know?
Right.
So I put it out. But you can't.
I don't know, there's a sense of realism with that, like the with your audience, like a sense of genuinity. I don't think it's a word. Genuineness. That's
a good word. If it's not a word, it should be.
It's just a source of, like, because your audience knows that you're gonna put stuff on YouTube that is there. You're not sugarcoating things. Like when you go around with some player that's griping about a rule, you're like, quit moaning. You were here. You knew you were gonna get shot. Like, take it like a man and move on, or woman, depending on the situation. And that's, I don't know. I'm
pretty straight. Yeah, that's what I'm like. Like I like to think I'm a really nice person, and I do nice things for people, and I'm good with my friends. I'm good with people. I help people out.
I mean, this is point in case right here. You're talking to me, that someone you have no idea who he is, like on a streaming platform, letting me share your thoughts to the world, like just that point by itself.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me, and I'm even though I say so myself, I'm a nice person, but when I'm playing airsoft, I am competitive, and I've also got quite strong beliefs about personal responsibility that has been entrenched in me since I was a child from my grandparents. You take personal responsibility for what you do, and you follow the rules, and that's what you do. Like the whole headshot thing. Like, this is in the UK. I mean, I think the whole headshot thing is ridiculous. I don't think that headshots should be encouraged. I don't think headshots should be banned. Headshots are just something that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But as a YouTuber, if a headshot happens, like, fuck, you cannot hit a head on purpose at 60 meters, 80 meters, 90 meters. You can't. It's just not accurate enough. As much as when I'm editing, if I hit a headshot and I've got a decent zoom camera and the light is right and that BB hits them in the cheek and you see that ripple and they turn and they go, oh, fuck, and they make the dramatic action, I'll zoom it in, I'll slow it down, I will turn it into a thumbnail, because like them or love them, YouTube loves headshots. They're funny to watch. I'm sorry, they're funny to watch, and they're cool as fuck. You slow it down, they look cool, and they make you look good, and they make the video look good because it looks like a sniper. And you put the crosshairs where it lands, and often you see the BB come out and come back in, but it will land where the crosshairs are because that's where you put it.
That's another thing as far as like a misconception is, like, whenever you put, like, when you're putting the crosshairs exactly where the BB lands, it looks like that's where you aimed from the beginning. And I think that's where a lot of people get super salty about it. It's like, he did that on purpose. Like, come on now.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's it. Sometimes you do hit a headshot. Like some of the videos, like when I was in Norway a couple of years ago, where I shot a guy in the chest really close. I was lying down, shot him in the chest. He didn't take it, so I moved it down and shot him in the nuts, and he went down. That was just,
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
I'm in an extreme stealth situation. I'm surrounded by enemy players. The more times I pull that trigger, the more chance there is I'm being hit. I'm going to make that shot. I didn't take it. Next shot, I'm going to make it count.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, oh, you arsehole, you shot me in the nuts on purpose. Yeah, and what?
Yeah, I mean, hey, we do the same thing at Milsims with some of our group. Like, I'm bad at a normal game day to be shooting people in the plate carrier because, heck, I don't like being shot either. So I try not to put it to where they're gonna feel it as much. But when we go to Milsims, some of those guys, you're full out sprinting and whatnot. You hit them in the plate carrier, the dump pouch, the backpack. They have no idea that they just got shot. So I started shooting in the thighs and the arms, places that they're gonna feel it just for that reason.
And I love getting taken out by a headshot. I love if someone whacks me in the head. I'm like, fuck, good shot. It feels so like final. Who is anybody else in the game to tell that person over there that they can't hit me in the head when I like it? Who don't? So this is where and whether I do these headshots on purpose or not, which I don't, by the way, and I hate yielding. I hate bending a knee to these kind of people, but look at the stats. In 2020, I made over 1,000 kills on camera.
Dang.
48 of them were headshots.
Oh, wow. I didn't. Okay. All right.
That's not much, is it?
No, that's almost nothing.
That's nothing, right? I was disappointed. I was saying to my mates, I can't believe I can't get a decent headshot compilation this year. Because out of the 48 headshots, none of them are really that dramatic. My point is, but when I do get the headshots, as a YouTuber, why shouldn't you focus on that drama? Why shouldn't you focus on that amazing moment of that headshot? And because it looks good on camera, why should you dumb it down because a few people are offended by it? This is like, this is really, this is part of what this is how I grew up, what was put in me. I haven't done anything wrong. If you haven't done anything wrong, don't apologize.
Hey,
and why not turn it into, if you've done nothing, if I do something wrong, I'll apologize. Mm-hmm. But just because you've hit a headshot, just because I can send a video viral by featuring that headshot, why shouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that happened anyway. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you had 750 headshots out of your 1,000 kills, then
have a point.
Yeah, it would be a point. But since on camera you have 48 out of 1,000, that's like what?
No,
half a
great,
percent.
That's not great, is it? For someone who's got a reputation for headshots, but what that does, that shows you the power of the YouTube thumbnail, the power of the title, that it makes people think that is happening. It's like the newspaper headlines can change people's opinions, and it's only when they go and read the full title, the full paper, the full news story, they realize that these newspaper titles aren't actually,
they're not very accurate. They're just clickbaity almost.
Exactly. Yeah. That word clickbait, they are. It is almost clickbaity. You know.
I mean, from what I've seen, you almost have to have clickbaity material to get a decent amount of views, at least to start with. I don't know. Maybe at the point that you're at, it's probably not as big of a problem because you've got over 500,000 followers. Like, but especially at my point, I've got less than 1,000. And probably only like 40 or 50 active because it had been a couple of years since I'd even posted anything. And
yeah,
so
it's a tough one to build that audience. You've got to, and you're not competing against other airsofters either. You're competing against the rest of the world for YouTube's attention. So, like, I probably of my views, I would think probably only something like 10 or 15% of my views are from subscribers. By the way, the rest are from non-subscribers.
Here I was thinking that was just because my channel was small, because I pulled mine up and my analytics are like 90% of YouTube search and 90% of my subscriber base. I mean, of the non-subscribed people are the people that are viewing my videos.
Yeah, I think a good thing. What you've got to try and do is just to try and get people watching your videos, watching the YouTube link, but they've got to be the right sort of people who are gonna, like, it's no good posting on your personal profile and saying to, hey, friends and family, this is my YouTube video, play my new video, and please watch it, because that's all very well. They might get the viewing figures up and they might leave comments, but then YouTube will see your mum or your sister or your mate who isn't really into airsoft, but they're into you, and they'll watch it, and then YouTube thinks, this woman, this guy, these people, they like, these sort of people like this video. Then it kind of tests them to see other ones, and then your friends, they might not even watch the whole video, they just clicked on it, left a comment, clicked the like. I actually think it's a really bad idea to tell your friends to watch your video. Really? I think it can mess the algo up. You've got to get your videos in a place where your sort of audience is going to watch them. So the obvious hack would be to go into Facebook groups of milsim. Like, if you're going to a milsim and you do a milsim style video, be a contributing member of a milsim community, and don't just post your videos. Don't just go in there and just chuck your videos up, and that's the only thing you ever chuck up. So eventually you're spamming, because the community will say, oh, there's that guy again, just spamming his YouTube channel. Okay. Go and be a member of a community, contribute, share what you're doing, share your training. Okay. Build, chat with other people, go on threads, communicate, and then you can kind of, hey guys, here's my video I did, and they recognize you as a member of that community. Okay, that's some very solid advice. I don't know why I haven't been thinking of this crap before. Like, what the heck? It's all super simple stuff that I don't understand why I haven't come up with this, or any of my friend group have come up with. I don't know. Maybe it's because it is so simple. It just seems like that's not going to work. Like, we have to do some fancy something or other just to get it to work right. I think being part of a community and building a community is way more powerful than hashtags, way more powerful than having the right search terms and having the right tags, having the right description. Just like being a part of the community, having people around you who you give value to, who then appreciate you, and then they'll watch your videos because they buy into who you are. Yep. They've got to have a reason. People have got to buy into who you are. They need to watch you. They need to watch you. Oh, there's that guy he posted those really cool training tips, or that's the guy who's got those really cool Instagram account. He's posting those pics. This is the guy who's been training. I wonder what his gameplay is going to be good. He's been training, or he's been he's got this new gun. I really want to know what this new gun is he's got. Or be part of a community and build a community around yourself. That's what I do with my Sniper Ops group. So even though it's not the same kind of level of subscribers as the YouTube, we've still got like 9,000 members of the community group who are all into this style of gameplay, the ghillie sniper gameplay. But I'm not promoting my videos in that group, and we've actually got a rule that we don't allow people to promote their YouTube channels in there. They can only contribute to the community. But as part of that, what happens as a result of that is those people who are regularly contributing and giving value to the community, everyone gets to know them, and through the chatting, people end up following them on YouTube anyway. So it builds the community rather than encouraging people to, hey, follow my YouTube channel. What I would encourage is, hey, contribute to a community and be part of a community. And then we get all that, what we touched on earlier, get that cross-pollination of audiences. It's quite a deep discussion. This is quite a deep discussion. I'm not particularly good at articulating it, but I strongly believe in building communities and the importance of that for not necessarily for building a YouTube channel, but just the importance of community. Like my YouTube channel, I don't see that as the be all and end all. I see my YouTube channel as a way of people discovering who I am and perhaps finding Airsoft, perhaps ultimately will buy my ghillie suits, whether it's this year, next year, or in 10 years time. Ultimately, this is my longer term. This is where I see it going.
Right.
Like it's all about building attention and a trust. When people trust you, they think you're a good player. They think you're honest about your reviews. They think you are honest in your community and you are delivering value to people. Then they appreciate you. And you may not necessarily have to cash in on that now. Like if you want views, that's not necessarily the best way of using that attention. Like in a few years time, you might open an Airsoft field, or you might, who knows where you are in 3, 4, 5, 10 years time. You might be doing an Airsoft shop, or you might be running training, or I'm not sure what you do, or who knows where you go with this. But it's all about building. Ultimately, it's about building community and building trust and respect, and that's way more important than monetization.
I agree with that, because you get those like what some of these other YouTubers have talked about, the dedicated subscribers that are actively participating and looking at your stuff and looking at your merch and buying your merch and that kind of stuff. That helps you be able to, as one of the YouTubers I've seen put it, funds the mission. The mission of getting Airsoft to be. I would love to see Airsoft be more prominent and more recognized than paintball. It really irritates me that I have to reference to people that don't know anything about Airsoft to paintball when it's totally different. Yeah. So that would be my goal, is to be able to people know enough about it that it's a thing.
I think the most important thing, if there's one takeaway from this, I would say if you want to run a YouTube channel, you want to make videos, the most important thing is to enjoy doing it. Enjoy the process of going and playing the game, recording it, having an idea of what you want to build this video from, where you're going, and just enjoy that process. Enjoy the editing, enjoy the releasing of it, enjoy the building of a community around it. If you don't enjoy it, it's not going to work.
You'll eventually burn yourself out. Yeah.
If you love doing something, you can't burn out.
Right.
And that's the main thing. You've got to figure out how you're going to love doing it.
Mm-hmm. This is the reason I wanted to talk to some of the bigger YouTubers about how they do the behind the scenes stuff, because that's the part I love. I love the editing and the capturing and doing all the video stuff and just the general behind the scenes things, whether it's teching or reviews or that kind of stuff. That is my passion in Airsoft. While I love to go play in the field, I would be just as happy doing stuff like in here where I'm working on a gun, building stuff, and that kind of thing. And that's what I want to share. I want to share my perspective of airsoft to the people that are either not looking at it, or it's information that they don't have. Like, for example, one of my videos was about some of the little known fact that you can put a 1 terabyte SD card into a run cam, and you can record all day with it. Like, you'll have 40 something hours to record on. You're not limited to a 128 just because RunCam says you can only have a 128. It actually works, and you can get a full record time of a day and not have to worry about changing batteries and cards and all that kind of crap. It's little stuff like that that gets overlooked, that nobody talks about, that I want to show, because I want airsoft to be so prominent and have so much good footage that we're going from having to use things that are designed for other people, for other uses, and making it work for us, as to an entirely devoted video segment like Foxier and RunCam are just now starting in the last few years, have just started to put out airsoft dedicated equipment. Because before, you had to go to like Brain Exploder and get his 3D printed stuff to be able to modify and fit. I don't know. It's a rabbit hole I could talk about all day. That's the part that I love about airsoft and the community as well, because some of my best friends are in the airsoft community, and they're just, most of the people I'm around, I don't know about in your area, but most of the people that I'm around are just solid people that I would give the shirt off my back for, because they're just great people.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm surrounded by people who are very grounded, and I can call them good friends, and they'll often sometimes give me a slap when I need it, or tell me to stop being stupid, or tell me when I'm honestly, there are days where I do get down like, what the fuck am I doing this for, sometimes, when some of the really toxic shit is going on. And sometimes my mates will just go, shut up. What are you moaning about? Who are these people you're worried about? They're fucking lizards. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, like there's a field has banned you. What's the field? Have you ever been there? No, I've never been there. Did you even know it existed before you've heard that they banned you? No, I didn't even know it existed. But that's not the point. Yeah, but that is the point. They're just doing it. They're just using you for clout. Stop your fucking whinging to me. I'm not interested, James. And they're their mates. They're mates. They're the good ones who tell you to shut up, and they give you a slap and bring you back down to earth again. If there's one other thing I would tip people, if you're doing a YouTube channel, don't share your YouTube channel on Facebook. Keep it native. So if you've got a Facebook page, Facebook has really good reach. I probably get more views on Facebook than I get on YouTube. Do post your video natively on Facebook. Don't just share the YouTube link, because Facebook will stop promoting you. If you do it natively, you'll get massive reach, and you'll be able to build a community and build an audience around your Facebook page, and they will eventually find your YouTube channel as a result of that.
Really? Okay, so when you're saying natively, just upload it straight to Facebook?
Straight to Facebook, so it gets featured in the Facebook Watch platform.
Huh. I'll be dang. I didn't. All right. That's little stuff like that. There are so many little nuggets of gold mixed into all the things that you're saying, that I feel like as an airsofter, it doesn't get discussed. Like, just these little tips. And that's something.
So if I asked you, like, what would you rather have, an extra 5,000 views on one YouTube video, or 10 million views on Facebook?
I obviously would go 10 million views on Facebook.
There we go. And you'll only get those views on Facebook if you upload it natively, so it gets featured on the Facebook Watch platform.
That is something I've never gone into. I've never dealt with the Watch platform on Facebook. I actually don't even use Facebook for anything other than Messenger. I guess
I don't like Facebook. I obviously don't like it, but it gets huge reach, and you reach a lot of people, and a lot of people watch it.
Okay. So as far as like, this section has been a really, really good, deep discussion that I was not expecting. I am really thankful for all the information.
No.
But what? So you touched on it earlier. What about some of your like editing program? What editing programs do you use? And what kind of
Final Cut Pro.
computer do you have? Okay.
I've got an iMac, Final Cut Pro. I've only got the thing that slows me down. I don't have a big solid state drive, so I do everything on external. That slows me down. I need to get a 4 terabyte. I use 4 terabyte hard drives. I really need to get SSD ones. That would be my next investment. I know I need to do that. But I use an iMac with external hard drives, and I use Final Cut Pro. And my workflow is after a gameplay, I drop all my files into Final Cut Pro. It turns them into proxy files. I then sync them all up, and I use a multicam editing. So,
so you run all of the cameras stacked on the timeline straight above each other, and then you just cut to each one as you need it. You don't actually cut the file itself down.
No, so I'll sync them all up, and that will normally take 24 hours or so to get them all synced and turned into proxy. That allows me to edit it, and then I'll just chop the cameras.
Okay. How come you went with the Final Cut Pro? Is it just because you've got a Mac?
Yeah, at the time I invested in a Mac. The biggest thing in the whole of 2016 when I was making videos, I was kind of doing it on a budget. I wasn't really that serious about it. Well, I was serious, but I wasn't spending much money on it. I was just, I wasn't doing it seriously. I wish someone had given me a slap and told me invest in decent software, because I was looking at Final Cut Pro and Adobe, and I was thinking, what? 300, 400, 500 quid for these softwares. I was like, come on, get out of it. Big mistake. I wish I'd have done it sooner. That really transformed things.
The learning curve. I bought when Vegas Pro came out. I had Vegas Pro 15 was the first real editing software I ever had, and it came with my pastor's camera, and he gave it to me. He's like, here you go. Well, I started playing with it, and eventually. Last year, I upgraded to Vegas Pro, the whole suite. So I got like the image editing and the video editing and all that kind of stuff. The learning curve on those more expensive programs is astounding. Like I'm still even 2 years later, I'm still learning things, and I'm like, wait, you can do what?
Yeah, you can do a lot on them. So definitely software. For me, software is more important than cameras.
Okay.
Personally.
What about all your raw footage? Like after you get done editing, do you scrap the footage? Do you keep the footage? Like, I know it's a lot of data to keep up with.
Yeah, I will. I will keep. I will remove any. I mean, these are mistakes. Big mistakes I made. Some of that footage I had in 2016 was amazing. I just ended up deleting it, and my edits from that time, my edits were crap, really. I just wish I'd have kept the raw footage, but it's not really practical. You can't practically keep all that raw footage. So when I've done an edit, I'll remove music, I'll remove voiceover, and then I've only really started doing this in the last 2 years, where I will then just get the raw edit without the voiceover, without music, and I'll just save that, and then I can then pull that, and then if I ever want to re-edit it or use it in compilations later, I can then do that. I wish I had like a mega gigabyte hard drive and I could just keep all this footage forever, like the raw footage, because I'm pretty sure in a few years' time, I'll be even better at editing, and I would like to re-edit some of these things. I'm not sure it's really practical unless you spend huge amounts of money to have loads of hard drives stored everywhere. I don't think it's really practical, but maybe.
Right.
Maybe I'll look back at this in a few years' time and I think I should have listened to myself.
Oh, that's funny. So what about into some more personal things? How did you get started playing Airsoft?
I was introduced to. I went through a very stressful time in my life, and I was caught up in a big financial scandal. I was a trader in the city. I had all my money in my trading account. It got stolen from me. It was quite a large sum of money. Yeah, it sucked, that's for sure. But through that, I was introduced to somebody who was a rival of the firm who stole my money, who Obviously your enemies, if you've got the same enemy, you become friends. You know, that's how life works. And he introduced me to his lawyer, and I became friends with him. And then I went to his place in the country for a weekend, and he'd bought his son some airsoft guns. I'm like, holy fuck, we can shoot each other with these. And that was it. 2010, I was hooked. I've been playing now just over 10 years. And so through that dark time, I found airsoft, and here I am doing it, like spending all my time on it. So it's kind of weird how through very bad things in life, good things can happen, you know?
Right. So is airsoft like your full-time job? Is YouTube like your full-time job,
50,
or do you work somewhere else?
50-50. I do things with cryptocurrency as well. I trade cryptocurrency, and we run a group where we train people to trade cryptocurrency as well. So, or just trade in general, look after investments. So I probably should spend more time on that. But again, it comes down to doing what you love. I love editing. I love making gameplays. And
I understand.
If you can get yourself in life to a point of practicality, so you can practically enjoy your life and do exactly what you love. For me, that's always been my goal in life, to be able to do what I love without having to go and work for somebody. I've never worked for anybody else, but I'm very fortunate. I'm in a position where I can do what I love, and that's what I've always wanted in my life.
That's part of has that been part of the drive to making the KMCS stuff, all of your concealment stuff?
Maybe that was,
or is that just the luck of the draw at that point?
There was a little bit. It was to do with providing something for the community. It was providing a product for the community that they needed. It was something that I wanted. It was just fun, you know. It was fun to do, and I enjoyed doing it. And I enjoy bringing out what I believe is the best product, the best ghillie suit product in the world. I believe it is, and featuring, you know, my design features and some features of other friends and members of the community. I just think it's just fun thing to do.
Yeah,
people have asked me. Novridge has asked me about this a couple of times. Like, where are you going with this, James? I'm like, I don't know. Just where I'm going with it. I just want to enjoy it. Just carry on enjoying it. That's it.
Well, I mean, heck, you're going to go so much farther in the long run because you enjoy it than if you were just doing it as a job anyway. Because you'll always be striving for the next best thing, not because you need the next best thing, because you want the next best thing. At least from my hearing it from my side, I feel like it's one of the reasons I do this, just in general. It's one of the reasons I reached out to you, because I was like, you guys are the fulcrum of the airsoft community right now. Who's the next generation? Like, at some point, you're going to have to move on. Who's the next generation of people? Who are we passing these skills down to? Who are we passing the love of the sport down to? And capturing all of this stuff with all y'all's YouTube channels is a legacy that is constantly evolving. And I don't know, it's just it's funny crazy to see how in line our thought processes are as far as like the way we view all this.
Yeah, it's funny because my motivation is ultimately selfish. I want to do stuff that I enjoy. I do it because I enjoy it. Like that's selfish, right?
Yeah, to a point. And not as a creator though. As a creator, it's not.
Exactly. But if you enjoy doing stuff, like I enjoy being part of a community, but I enjoy making content because other people enjoy it. There's always this kind of, no matter what you're doing in life, there's this like contradictions. You care, but you don't care at the same time. Having been able to balance that, like, I don't give a shit that people hate me, but I also do sometimes care. Like, how do you balance this? How do you not give a shit, but you do give a shit? And how do you do stuff because only you love it? Where you should do it because, you know, why should you do it? Because for the community. But if you only do it for the community and you don't enjoy it, that's no good either. You've got to somehow balance this out. And that's the key to get to anything in life, I think, is to walk that tightrope of
Uh-oh. I think you died. You muted yourself. Yeah, your mic's not connected. Nope, can't hear you.
1 second.
Hey, it's better.
There we go. 1 second. There we go. I lost my headphone. I should be back. My iPod ran out of battery.
Those things are great until they die.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, yeah, no, I guess the balancing of giving a fuck and not giving a fuck and doing things for yourself and doing things for other people. If you can enjoy doing things for other people, that's the best place to be, I guess.
Oh, I definitely agree. And not just that, your community base will be stronger because they will see that you care about other people and they will want to trust you because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I will often share other people's YouTube videos. Like I'm really grateful to come on. I'm genuinely grateful that you asked me to come and chat to you about this deep stuff I don't normally get to chat about. I'm the same way. I'm genuinely grateful for other content creators, like in the UK, people like Staten or Fox Green or Heartless. They only got they're growing from a base of a few thousand subscribers, but I'm genuinely grateful they're putting content out, and I'm happy to share those. And people say, "Oh, that's really great that you share that." Other YouTubers, why? Like, why shouldn't I? I want other people who follow me to watch that content because I believe it's good, and other people should enjoy it as well. For me, it's just about being genuine. You don't lose anything from like sharing good stuff with people. You're not taking anything away. I don't understand why more YouTubers don't do that. Like, why shouldn't you go and work with other people? People have this idea in life that if they're giving something, they're taking something away from themselves. Like, if I share someone else's YouTube channel on my Instagram story, I'm not taking anything away from myself. I'm just giving to my community. I'm giving.
Right.
I'm pointing something out to them.
I don't know. I don't know how it is over there, but I know over here it's more like there's a stereotype of once you hit this certain level, you become famous and you're above everybody else. It's a common joke that a lot of my players make at me. It's like, hey, when you become famous, don't forget about us lowly people. And even though as much of a joke as it is, there's still the subconscious thought that once you get to a certain level, you can't. It'll mess up your image or whatever you want to call it to be with the people that are not necessarily as famous. And I don't agree with that, but it is a stereotype that's a reality.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I look at some content creators like PewDiePie, and he's always on his Reddit, and he'll often do content where he's sharing other community contributors or react. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe my mindset's a little bit different to other YouTubers, but I'm super happy to like do crossovers or just to go and play with other YouTubers, even if they're very small. And why not? It's cool as fuck. I love doing crossover videos. I love doing stuff with Heartless. I love doing stuff with Nico. I just think that they're my most exciting times. Where you go and with Cam Man or with Foxy or Hutchie. Hutchie's only they're really on YouTube. They're tiny compared. They are tiny, but I love going and seeing them feature in my video and seeing me in their videos. I love it. It's just, for me, it's really exciting. And
it's a totally different perspective too.
Yeah, it's kind of this community of other people looking from the outside, maybe from America. They see us and they watch a Mustang video. And then there's me, I'll suggest it on my story. Hey, here's Hutchie, he's playing at the same field, it's the same game. And they'll perhaps go and watch it. They'll see me slipping down a hill or they'll see me in the corner. And I don't know, I just think it's cool. It's almost
I agree. I agree. It's always fun whenever some of my other guys, we're all recording in the same situation, and I see myself just like you sliding down a hill. You see yourself doing something totally stupid, like why? What possessed me to do that? And you're just like, what?
Yeah,
I don't remember this.
I think that's why people love me and Nico. Me and Nico love doing stuff together. Name's Nico. And people often say how much they enjoy us because they enjoy us playing on the same field and seeing our videos cross over. And even though we often we'll link each other's the links or in the description, I'm playing with name's Nico, here's a link to his channel, or in the pinned comment at the top, here's Nico's perspective, go and click on it. We don't really see much boost in our viewing figures from that.
Really?
No, we don't. I don't think. If I do a shout out to say this is Heartless Airsoft, go and subscribe to his channel, he doesn't then see like 10,000 new subscribers or even 1,000 new subscribers. You might get like some.
Yeah.
But what I think it does do, I believe the YouTube algo recognizes people crossing over and just viewing, and they'll go to the link. You might not, they might not click on subscribe, but they may have gone and looked. And I just think goes back to what we discussed earlier about this community and viewers crossing over, cross-pollinating. I think it helps.
Yeah, I do. Because, I mean, it's just from listening to your side of things, the logic behind it makes sense, and the subconscious thought of, hey, this is a guy that I follow. He thinks this guy over here is pretty cool. Let me go look. And if I don't like him, then okay, well, I don't know what he's full of crap. Or, man, this guy is really awesome. I can't believe I hadn't seen him before.
Yeah. And then they appreciate you pointing them in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it feels a lot less like me, and more like we.
Exactly. Yeah. Good intention. If you've got good intention, that's the main thing. Like if you're doing things because you've got good intentions and you enjoy doing things because it's good for the community, it'll work out in the end. Everything works out.
Heck yeah. Let's see. What made you decide to start filming, like, and doing the whole YouTube thing as a whole? Like, what made you go to YouTube as opposed to like Instagram or some of these other platforms that we have?
I do, as I said earlier, like I would say natively upload to Facebook. I even put gameplays on IGTV. I do all the platforms.
Okay. I'm talking about like when you first started. Like when you first started.
Honestly, my brother won a GoPro in a competition, and I thought I do pretty cool shit playing Airsoft. I'm going to record it and see what happens. I recorded stuff, and I look back at some of those whole videos. They're pretty. Like, good stuff happened. It was good stuff that happened, but the editing was like there was no editing. It's just embarrassing and boring. And at the time, I just thought people liked watching cool stuff on cool Airsoft, and I was doing cool Airsoft. But what I didn't realize at the time was there's so much more to it. All those different levels. You can do something cool in Airsoft, but then you've got to have the story. You've got to have the editing. You've got to have the thumbnail. You've got to have the meme. You've got to have, the whole. You've got to have the community. Everything's got a bit. It's all those different elements. It's not just about just recording cool stuff. But that was my main motivation at the time was, why not? I'm pretty cool at Airsoft. Let's record it and see what happens. But
hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
So for people that are trying to create a YouTube channel strictly around Airsoft, what are some of the things that you've seen in your career that have allowed you to make enough money to support your hobby?
That's a big question, that is. I think if you're just doing it for the money, you're going to fail. I think that's the first thing. You've got to. It's too much work to do it just for the money, because you're going to have to work your arse off for not weeks, not months. It's years. Like I was having a chat with Novridge a couple of months ago, and I asked him, like, do you think if you started now, do you think you could do it all again? He said, even before I finished the sentence, no, not possible. It's physically not possible. Because there's so much attention on social media. I mean, you can start a channel, you can spend 2-3 years building, but the chance of having a product that's going to get you millions of subscribers is very, very slim now, I think, just doing airsoft, because it's such a saturated market. What can you do that's going to differentiate you from other people?
Right.
My channel was different because of the whole ghillie thing. I'm a sneaky, stealthy. It was different. It wasn't just a guy running around with a sniper rifle.
Right.
There was a different edge to it, wasn't there? So what is going to differentiate you from everybody else? All the channels that are doing well that I see have all got something a little bit edgy, something about them. So Nico, even though he's a former army rifleman, that's not the crux of his channel. He also does gaming. He's also a really strong personality. There's something about him. You look at and this is a channel. Let's say my friend Bull Sniper. He makes great content, really good gameplay, really clean edits. He's been putting out regular content for a while now. He had a break last year with the COVID thing, but he's now pumping out content every single week. But his channel's not exploding, even though he's putting out some of the best content. Why is his channel not growing as it probably deserves? Maybe because is there something there that's that edgy about him? Is there something that differentiates him from Norbridge or Silo or every other airsofter? Just making good content is not enough, is the point I'm making.
Right, right.
But if you've got to love it and you've got to outwork people. So he loves making the content, so he's going to keep on doing it every week. He's going to record, he's going to do it. Eventually, the other people will stop doing it if they don't love it. If you love doing it, that's what's going to differentiate you, loving doing it and having something a bit different.
Because it's not a sprint as far as YouTube goes. It's a marathon.
Yeah, and you can put out one video and it goes viral and you have 10 million views on that video. You might get 10, 20,000 subscribers out of it if you're really lucky. But
that is not a lot of that is not a lot of payoff for the views.
No, it won't make or break your channel. The only thing that will make or break your channel is by putting out regular content, high quality, and it's a little bit edgy, a little bit different. And you're not just differentiating yourself from other airsofters. You've got to differentiate yourself from YouTube. You've got to stand from everybody else on YouTube.
So something you just said. What do you consider? What would you, just as a brief summary, what would you consider as a high quality, a regular, like a sustainable level of high quality YouTube videos for Airsoft?
What do you mean by what? The quantity of videos? I mean, a lot of this depends on the. Like for example, at the moment, I've got 3 game days of videos saved up that I can put out. We're in lockdown here, so what my strategy here is I'm trying to figure out how long until I play the next game of Airsoft, and I'm going to space that out. I've probably got 3 really good gameplays. I've probably got 1 average gameplay, which I recorded around here with Cam Man with the SSX 303s, and I've probably got 1 compilation I can put out. So I've probably got 5 videos. If we're going to be in lockdown if we can't play Airsoft for 2 more months, I've got to space that out.
Yeah.
If you play Airsoft every single week, you've got to think to yourself, have you got time to edit a video every single week that's high enough quality? There's no point just putting out gameplay for the sake of it if it's not high quality. It's got to be something about it.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer to this question. Like you've got to put out content as regularly as you can while you still enjoy it and the quality is still high. If you're just putting stuff out for the sake of it every week and it's not that high quality, it might be better to do it every other week. Sometimes here's a secret. Sometimes I'll go to play at a field on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I will cross over the footage on both days to make 1 10-minute video. If I don't have enough footage on one day, I'll go back and play the next day, and I'll cross it over. There's been a couple of videos where people have pointed out I'm shooting reds and blues. Well, I am, but that's not the same day. Completely different days, and they're just recording on different game days. Make sure I've got enough quality. Rather than having two substandard, I'll pack them together and make one good gameplay. That's a bit of a naughty secret there.
Yeah, so a less frequent high quality videos is better than sub quality frequent videos.
I think so.
Quantity over quality, or quality over quantity. Sorry.
I think so, but you've also got to do it regularly so YouTube recognize. Like YouTube, no platform will promote you if they don't think you're going to deliver them value in the future. Like if you put out one video and it's amazing, like the most amazing video ever made ever, YouTube might look at that and go, okay, that was cool. Everyone who watches it watches all of it, and the reactions are really good. But we don't know this guy. The algo will be like, right, well, does he do this 10 videos in a row for 10 weeks in a row? Then we might stop promoting him.
Yeah.
Why should YouTube spend its time pushing one video from a content creator who's never made anything before and they don't know whether they're going to make anything in the future? Whereas if you're a guy who's got a track record of producing one gameplay video every week for years,
yeah,
they're likely to keep promoting your videos because they want to support you producing quality content. Here's something else that's is really important if you're a content creator. And I'll often, to some of my mates who are perhaps not getting traction and they're asking me, they're getting frustrated. Sometimes I have videos that are 2 or 3 years old and they have really not gone anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, those videos have been picked up by the algo years later. So if you have a video that you've made and you think it's amazing, and it is amazing, and you think it should get more traction, but it doesn't get it,
yeah,
have faith that at some point in the future, if you keep on producing that content, even if it's 2, 3, 4 years down the line, that video could get picked up by the algo. Maybe in a couple of years' time, that thumbnail or that title might just click again, or you might change the thumbnail, change the title. You might realize that that was what was wrong with it. There was something about the title or the thumbnail wasn't working, and you change it a couple of years later, all of a sudden it will take off. Yeah.
So something you've mentioned a few times is changing titles and changing thumbnails and whatnot. I always thought that was kind of like taboo. Once you put it out there, you can't really do nothing to it. Like you just keep it like it is.
No. I had a video that was 3 years old recently. I changed the thumbnail on it and the title a few months ago, and it went from just being a dead. It was an okay video, but it was quite long. It was weird. It was like a 30-minute video, and I changed the thumbnail and title from something that at the time was crap. It was like, I can't remember what the old title was, like Airsoft Sniper versus something. It was crap. It was boring. I changed the title to player's shocking reaction to ghillie sniper revealing himself, something like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it went from having like 20,000 views to having like 1.5 million views.
Oh wow, it's a significant difference.
Exactly, on a 3-year-old video. And it was 30 minutes long with all the ad revenue as well. So they had all the ads placed throughout a 30-minute video. So the point is, if you've got a good piece of content and it hasn't got traction, don't be disheartened by it. Because if you keep on producing content, you keep on putting it out, YouTube will likely pick up your content at some point in the future. So if you've got an archive and you've got a library of content that's on there, don't be disheartened by it if it's not getting traction.
Yeah, that was something that in my research to become as best of a YouTuber as I can is that you have to keep putting those videos out there, not necessarily because you're trying to be viral. So that way, when people do discover you, you have a, like you said, a library or a well of information that they can go through and look at.
Exactly. And once they've watched one of your videos, YouTube will then start to recommend other videos to them as well. So if you've got that library of content behind you,
mm-hmm.
once you get that viral video, and it will happen, if you're producing good videos, you will eventually get something that goes. And all those people that see that video will then start to get recommended your older content. And then it's very valuable to have a library. Even though it may not seem like it right now, you're thinking, oh, I've only got a few hundred views on this, or I've got 200 views on that. In the future, it'll be worth something, I promise.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not focused as much on promoting myself currently because I know I need that good solid foundation of good videos with good quality, with good information in something that's also unique. I want to give information that is not popular, so to speak, something that's just not discussed. Like in this video, for example, we're discussing things that I have not seen anywhere else discussed specifically for Airsoft. It's always been just some generalized information, and that's something I want to change because I think the community could benefit from that. The community could be better for it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good tactic to be niche in something. So just being an airsofter in and of itself is probably not niche enough. The reason why I've probably got traction is because I was a niche within a niche. So I was sniping and I was sneaky. That was my niche. And the more niche you go, the better. I think you're more likely to get traction if you get the more niche you are.
That is a very popular opinion amongst all because here lately there's been a lot of YouTubers going through and giving advice for 2021 on how to be a YouTuber. And that is something that is very common amongst a lot of those people that are saying to double niche.
That's interesting. Yeah. There we go. Yep. Good insight.
Yeah, like, man, this is just like my mind is blown, to be honest. Like, just side note to everything, the fact that you have given me so much information that personally is going to help me in my channel, but just that you've taken dang near 2 hours out of your day to just talk to somebody that you've never met and really dive deep and give more personal information than I would have really expected. Like, and it's not super personal, but it is personal information to somebody that's going to be putting it on YouTube. And I really appreciate that.
Dirty stuff.
It's really cool. It really is. Like, this,
I hope it's useful. I hope it's not just for you. If anyone's watching this, I really hope it's useful. I'm by no means am I any guru. This is just my personal experience and my thoughts on it. And if people disagree, then I'd love to hear from people who disagree or have different ideas to me, because I'm always looking to learn. I'm always I enjoy the game of Airsoft, but I also enjoy the game of YouTube and finding out what works. And it's always changing. The landscape's always changing. So if people are watching this in the future, it might be different advice is needed. And you've always got to have an open mind and always looking to learn and change your sails to catch the prevailing wind.
Right. Well, I that's all the questions I've got. No, I don't have anything else. I've already gone through. It was actually much more in depth than even my questions. My questions are paltry compared to all the stuff that we dug into, which is why I'm like, I don't know the words. I don't have words to express. Like, I really don't. And I'm hoping that maybe I can ride your coattails a little bit and get some more views and be able to get some other airsofters that are big in the YouTube world to give their opinions on the background side of things, like the way they think the algorithm works, the way that they're doing their workflow, what they're doing with their footage, how they're laying out their channel as a whole, and where they think Airsoft is going to go. Like, just
good luck. I'm sure people, you're very easy to talk to, and I think it's a really interesting subject, and it's something that someone like myself is not often asked about, So, and it's obviously something that I'm interested in. So thank you very much for having me, and thank you for spending the time to have me on and asking me the questions. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.